God.
Recording is on.
Okay, we're on. Should have really done my hair, actually. Um, got up in a hurry. Didn't think I'd see anyone today. Totally forgot about videos. Um, so, we have shunted or shifted, and maybe for the last time, because of what happened. Like, it suddenly appears like to get the most out of AI, it's kind of like about roughly half and half the model plus the harness that runs it,
Mm-hmm.
or like what drives the model, what's given to the model. And there seems to be a strong pull towards models being able to use the command line directly. So, like,
Yeah.
being able to just jack into a shell and all that. And the thing that really got me was fuck, I don't know how to explain it. Like the Codex, the Codex CLI, right? Like it, OpenAI put out Codex, Gemini's got one, Claude's got one, and it whirs away, and then it's locally. You've used these things, have you? Yeah.
I've been using Cursor.
So
Same
yeah,
thing though.
okay. This is like if there was ever a stock to short, it would probably be Cursor right now. But this thing runs in the terminal and gives you effectively the good parts of Cursor, like the I'm going to work
Mm-hmm.
on a thing, right? And because it
Mm-hmm.
has this iteration where it loops and loops and loops, like the quality you get out is like great. Like you get your linter, you get your test runs. It's kind of all the things that as a baby developer you don't have, and then you understand that you need tests, you need
Yeah.
you need type checking, you need all these extra things, and then that means that you can produce code rapidly because you didn't break any of the stuff that you had done before. The machines need that too, right? So uh, I'm sorry for the clumsiness of this, but I'm trying to unpack. Like, we had several sort of fairly big realizations. Um, the model that we've settled on now is basically a container orchestration framework
Mm-hmm.
where we used to say that we had the NAP format, which was a general purpose way to package up tools for usage by AI agents. There was a field in that package file to describe the configuration of the agent, like what its sysprompt is and what its purpose in life is, and all that.
Yeah.
But actually, the real power comes when you put an agent in a container, and then you allow an arbitrary number of containers to be spun up by these agents, so the agent can create a new container and then can pass instructions to it and wait for them to finish and all that. And so it's a very familiar computing model in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
vastly simplified what we were trying to do. When you think about, like, one container is one mutable file system,
Right.
and you come in and you run you first of all, the container is defined by a hash locked file like a Docker file.
Yep.
The config of the LLM is defined in a config file, and so you've got this repeatability, but you can do kind of anything. And then, like, the big sort of dumping of the stuff was that in that that terminal shell that I showed you in the link,
Yep.
So what we can do is each one of these agent containers, as you, the human, looking at the browser, we can just redirect you to whichever agent is currently running that you want to look at.
Right.
And then you can see inside the transient operating state of that agent directly. Because the issue with blockchaining things was that it always made the transient process of moving from one commit to the next was not by direct design, but due to other design constraints, was always very awkward to see inside of. Like, it was always hard to see, for example, to debug, to breakpoint within, but with this model, we sort of invert that. And now the only way that you see the system at all is by this connection into the running container. And so that can be, a CLI is an easy one, but it turns out it's also easy to adorn the CLI text strings with, rich buttons or fat buttons. We can output tags that can be expanded into an iframe. So you don't really lose all the richness of the web, but you get this direct view into what's happening, number one.
Right.
Number two, having the operating system of the server be right there makes a lot of things trivial. Like, in our Git model, we'd always stored customer records as JSON files, right? So then to read that in the browser, you had to do like this whole damn gymnastics and then the synchronizing process and then this whole other language. But on the server, you just go ls or ripgrep or, whatever you want. And like the number of characters that have to come down the wire for you to do that are like a couple of hundred characters, right? Whereas like, let's pull down the JavaScript bundle. How long does that take you to make? Let's load right? And it's like, I just feel ripped off is probably a good way to explain it. That when the browser tried to become a computer, we all got sucked in. It's not a computer.
It's a viewport to like content, really.
Yeah.
Is what it was designed as.
Yeah. And there's a number of ways that you can, there's multiple paths that we went astray from, like having multiple computers running, needing databases. Like databases were invented long before Git was invented. So, and I really just kind of feel like we've reduced our system down to Git repos and container orchestration, along with this this browser proxy that just sort of proxies whatever your browser's looking at. It just proxies that to a particular container at any given point in time, adhering to the simple rule that all the browser can do is look at one and only one container at a time, and it can be told to navigate, and that's it. Because as soon as you start to try to show like two containers on the same page, I think the devil is client-side code. And now your browser has logic in it that isn't simply present the view. It'd be like making an SSH client that also tried to do something fancy on the client side, and now it's no longer a pure terminal.
It's funny how I always feel like I'm moving in parallel to you somewhere else. Like I've spent the last 9 months or so working on only Kubernetes. And I've come to the point where like almost everything that I do in my day job is like fire up a container and drop like a curl command into it or something, right? Like basically I write 90% shell script at this point.
Right. Okay, well that's fun.
it's just funny to hear you say all that, because like I've had a lot of the same realizations in the last little while, that you can build a really resilient system by following a few rules, like orchestration rules, and
Yep.
like using the simplest pieces you possibly can, right?
Yeah. Um, yep. I also, another lesson is that the cloud services are evil. Like
Yep.
S3 buckets
Mhm.
should be lit on fire and thrown into the ocean. Because what we realized is that we had all the regular issues with S3 buckets and what have you. But then when we were like, well, now we're running this system that tries to run in multiple containers, and then there's this latency, and now we need these bits fast, and now we need some caching, and now we need to put it on local disk. And along comes OTel and like a couple of fucking telemetry packages. The next thing you've got this waterfall chart, and really, what I realized is that there's a rocking good database out there called LMDB, which is doing something magical. It's using memory map files to memory map the database file into it, so that it uses the hardware to do all the disk reads and caching and stuff. And man, I have never seen something. I didn't even know that my computer could move that fast until I saw this thing in action. And then I dug into it more and found that they went to the lengths of making the code so small that it fits in the L2 cache of the CPU, so that it never even, to execute, it never even needs to go out and fetch more code. It just sits in the CPU cache and uses the hardware to do the disk IO. And it just, like, it's tiny, it's fast, it's got version control, it's crash proof, it's got crash recovery. It's
So where is it lit? Like you're using this inside the container, and you're talking about storing files as just
this
on
was
disk on
the reason
containers.
is because if we use Git as the database, performance becomes an issue pretty quick. And
Yeah.
so what we realized was that the best thing to do is to use a direct SSD drive with no redundancy, no anything, and to use this LMDB to write and read the Git object store on the disk, so that it's violently quick.
Okay. Cool.
But that's all it, and I guess to be fair, that's actually just an optimization. Like, the actual principle still works with just Git itself, but the lesson was, don't use cloud anything, because the principle, I feel, is that the computer is the unit of synchrony, and anytime you need to step outside that, you need to perform consensus. And you're either performing the consensus explicitly or implicitly, or worst, externally, where you depend on S3 to run the consensus for you. But what you should really be doing is having a computer, and instead of trying to fortify the inner workings of it, you should treat the thing as disposable and have multiple instances running in consensus. And that will be higher performing, lower cost, and better resilience, because you haven't put consensus in more than one layer. There's a dedicated consensus layer, and that's it. You're not trying to do consensus anywhere else.
Right.
So that was sort of the philosophical gain there that sort of pointed us down the path of containers. And then the CLI came along, and we're like, fuck, that's just, if each AI ran in its own container and they could spin up other ones and talk to each other, that model is simple.
Right. So you're not saying that the chain stuff doesn't exist. It's just the orchestration layer. What I'm asking XY here. The containers are running the LLMs in them, right? Which means that they're no longer going through commits while they're thinking.
Oh, right. Yeah. I get what you're saying. It First of all, we think that it doesn't matter if there's an AI in there or not. AI
Right.
should be just considered like a computation, and that's all.
Yep.
But to address your concern there, the repeatability of it in this model, like you recall how when we were building, I forget what version blockchain, but the execution always needed to happen within a containment.
The host, the be the chain, then like look at the chain thing, the thing that toggles back and forth, right?
Yeah. And it also needs isolation so you don't get fucking pwned by someone's emoji package. And then so all that the containers are is they are orchestrated by the Git repo being blockchain, and they simply represent the computational resource of one node on the chain. So so we started calling a computer a collection of agents within one trust boundary.
Yes, that makes sense.
And so one of those agents is running the Git repo on its SSD. It's running it in consensus with other computers that are untrusted or otherwise remote, so connected by the network. And to perform the computations that it needs to based on the inputs into the chain, it uses Docker containers as agents to do the computation and then come back. And then that's the thing that gets repeatably executed elsewhere to confirm what the state change is.
Right. I guess you could even tie that into the layering system in containers if you derive images from other images. Like if you say a step in your container results in like a new derived image, then you're basically matching the hash language of container orchestration together with
treating Git commits like really just container commits or container layers.
Yeah,
that's fun. Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I think everything sounds pretty good to me so far. What you're saying,
I just fuck, man. Like it seems awfully simple.
And it is simple though, right? Like, but I know as well as you know now. The problem with most of this industry is that people don't want it to be simple, so they make it not simple. But it actually is simple.
I do partially agree with you. I also think that some things are not simple if you decide you want them a certain way, and if you don't question how they were delivered, like a browser front end going through like an API, which is this whole other domain language, talking to this internal application of services that you never exposed. The more you have hidden the essence of your application from your users, the more you will end up in this wasted hell.
Yeah, I got the same feeling, right? Like, I mean, if you think about Internet 1, like we're serving XML documents that are assumed to be static files on computers that are just sitting somewhere. The magic is TCP/IP, is being able to find a route to that computer.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Dynamic routing.
And then that was when we fell from grace, right? Like that's literally everything piled on top of that gets crazier and crazier and crazier, right?
And I can sort of see how, right? Because like the back end of a computer before LLMs was kind of ugly, but now the LLM makes it pretty. And so, like, I mean, when I look at a ChatGPT chat, it honestly looks a lot like a terminal session if you just fucking ignore the buttons that don't work sometimes or the other fucking, it's like some stuff in, some stuff out, it's and so like the other issue we had at the same time as all this, because there's been like a number of issues happening simultaneously, was okay. So we're trying to do UIs, and we
Yep.
want the bots to be able to drive the UI so that they can first of all operate it without too much fuss, but also so that they can design the freaking thing so that I can just say what I want and then it runs its own code and then is like, oh, sorry, that's not at all what you wanted now that I run it. Let me fix that, right? And now you've got like, okay, I need to fire up this fucking Asian model that can take in a fucking screenshot and then it's going to click. And it's gonna... But if you just send it in the text output of a TUI,
Mhm.
it's pretty good at that. Like, that's like fucking, I don't know, a couple 100 bytes, sort of. And now this thing can navigate the UI and make changes to it.
Yeah, it's like text is magic, right? Because like you don't have to build what you mean on top of it. It's actually encoded in the Unicode. Like
It's like each character is like a unit of meaning. Like it's fucking, whereas like a pixel is like, what is that?
Right.
What is that?
Like when you're going to put a bunch of them on the screen and now you have to explain what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to think about what they mean.
And so, and then you've got like the DOM with its infinite layout possibilities versus the rows and the columns of the terminal. You're like, this is how many freaking, that's it. This is what you get. These are the rows. And so I guess two things happen. We were like, okay, this agent model of running containers simplifies a lot of what we'd been struggling with how to make AIs call teams of AIs and work on long running tasks and all that.
Yeah.
But then the issue of how does the UI see inside that whirlwind of kind of magic. I mean, sitting there and this machine is like talking to me in my language, solving problems that I either couldn't solve or couldn't be bothered solving, and doing a good job of them for a couple of cents. I'm like, that's kind of magic. I mean, and then like just dumping this whole fucking saga of wild fucking front ends and just being like, we just run on the server because then like all this crazy shit happens. Like if I type apt get install 300 megs of stuff, okay, the browser comes in, it doesn't fucking download any of that. It just
Mhm.
sends what it wants and gets back what it needs. And you know, like whereas building a browser front end, I had to get the whole freaking operating system down to the browser before the user's ADHD kicked in and they navigated somewhere else. Like, what a stupid fucking game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still have some love in my heart for the idea of a browser as an operating system, but when I think about why, it's because like it's trying to turn the idea of computation into something that's consumable as content, right? It's like
Yep.
this is where the idea of like auto updating apps came from, was the web, right? Where every single time you look at it, it can have new code running in it.
Right.
And
That's
like now that's kind of percolated its way into everything else now. So there's like kind of no advantage to it anymore, right? It's
so the way we got around that
Mhm.
is to say that if the browser is kept ultimately extraordinarily thin,
Mhm.
and if you do need to go offline, you need to bring the ability to run containers with you. That
Yep.
seems like not an unreasonable trade because the browser was never made to be a computer. I know it was tempting because JavaScript can be a server, but ultimately it should never have done that. And that was dumb. And I spent years, a decade or more maybe, fucking with that. but it was ultimately dumb. And so the browser in our model now, the browser stays thin, and when you go offline, you need to have a computer with you, which you do because that's how you ran the browser. And there's something in the background that's your unit of compute. That's where the computation's happening, and the browser is just a view.
Right. So you're forking your like computer onto your local host, basically, and
Which
talking
is
to that.
which under this model, like we envisage that you can every time you commit in the Git repo that manages the computational state of your computer, computer being
Yep.
the collection of agents,
Mhm.
you can resuscitate it on any compatible piece of silicon, so long as you've got the state snapshot, right? So you can like move that off onto your phone, fire it up, and you're there. You're back right where you started.
Did you see in the last WWDC they're actually adding native containers on Apple's silicon now?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Apple
So you're not
Silicon
going to need to run
cool stuff.
Docker anymore, right?
Yeah, like the way they do memory sharing is epic.
Yeah.
And so
Docker's such a piece of crap on my laptop.
right.
It crashes like more than anything else.
Oh dear. Oh, that sucks.
I admire what those guys did. I mean, that's like not an easy thing to make, but
Nah. So really, what we're looking at now is prove the utility of our system using containers, and then when we want to get off of Fly.io, we'll shift to confidential containers. So being able to offer the service to run containers in a way that the silicon provider, like AMD, guarantees you that. Like, have you seen how the developments in the confidential containers space?
no.
No. So basically, you can the AMD and Intel each have a different way of doing it, but you can end up with a situation where you can guarantee that the hypervisor and everything around it did not see inside what your computation, what was happening inside your container.
Well, how the hell did they do that? Like they're saying that even the people running the service can't see inside.
Correct. So the chip generates a private key in silicon that's put in there by the AMD Forge. Put that in. Now, if they compromised it, you're fucked. But theoretically, they're not. And the chip will sign when it has run things in these trusted environment conditions.
The TPM, right? The trusted platform module.
It's more than that. It's not a trusted platform. It's called a trusted execution environment at that level, because it's like it's the trusted platform module says that around the outside, the platform's integrity has been held, but the trusted execution module says that this process that ran within this confidential virtual machine, that was how the seal is intact.
Okay.
On that. And so we think that like you lose like 10% of your computational power on that confidential piece, but that's fucking trivial, especially since most operations are like IO bound or some other kind of fucking thing that you're waiting on. But
it's kind of cool.
That would mean that we could offer these agents, and it's like we genuinely can't see inside that, and you can prove to everyone what happened on there. So
it not only signs it, encrypts it too. Like the result of your computation ends up like encrypted, or
you run your encryption in there, and then you put the outputs out. You can output unencrypted things, but basically, if you do some stuff and then you encrypt the result and then you put it out, and the CPU attests that from start to finish the system integrity held, then you can know that the encrypted objects that you got out are confidential.
Right. Confidential in this case means like that it's like nothing else on the system that was running this process could have looked at it.
Nothing else in the universe.
Oh. Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. It's like definitely a lot less expensive than something like homomorphic encryption.
That's a stupid idea. Honestly, that is a stupid idea. Like,
Is it? I always thought it was. I mean, that's when you let math people have too much control. That's what they do.
yeah,
Right?
like don't do that. And there's always like so much stuff that I want to do that you can't do. You can't have general purpose homomorphic encryption. Like,
Right.
it's just not.
You're like, oh, congratulations, you projected the add operation into some space that makes it
like
take 2 hours to do.
Does someone want to make homomorphic Bitcoin? Because that's one use case. Yeah. So look, I guess when I messaged you, I was in a bit of a panic because it suddenly felt like we were making some changes that were radical, I thought. Well, they felt dangerous. Like I was like, I have missed something to think that the terminal is where it's all at. And then now after working at it for, a couple more days, it's pretty good. Like I don't know what to say. It's fucking really good.
I'm not as like bullish on the idea that everybody's going to be hopping into a terminal to do all of their computer stuff. Like, I still think that that's more of a sysadmin interface than like a general user interface. Now, I know that like the idea here is general users probably will exist in lower and lower numbers all the time. Like, you're going to try and turn every user into a system administrator.
Well, I don't know that we're asking them to be in the terminal because they're always being proxied or concierged by an LLM.
Right.
And it's really about saying that the LLM could dig into how the agentic system was operating if it needed to present something back to its user. So
Right.
the user need not go in there, but our model is that there's really no difference between a user and an LLM. You should never make a system that tries to determine any difference between them. And so you could imagine that the user's bodyguard or whatever would want to rip through the system and figure out the status of everything, take measurements and report back. I don't know. But I mean, what does the user really want? We can present things that are indistinguishable from the current realm of web apps because
Yeah.
we can interpret the terminal feed and we can pick out tags and we can put fat objects on top of it, like a Google map where you can navigate and drag and move just because the text said this is a Google map. We're like, bang, done.
Yeah, and I think you hit it there. Like, to me, that is the one thing that UI will always be better at is when I don't know what I'm looking for, but I just want to explore
Right.
in a data set that's bigger than I can like query or like otherwise kind of dig
there's
through.
an endless number of ways to do it, like 3D graphics,
Yep.
points on a map, drawing an image, all those things. But we can do those, and the web is good at those, and that's where it should have stayed. But it sort of fell apart because we genuinely needed to orchestrate all these cool bits, and we didn't have LLMs. And
Right.
so along comes a framework, and down it goes. Like Webpack away, 10 minutes later, you've got a broken front end. So yeah, look, I mean, it actually doesn't sound like you're really objecting or cautioning in any way.
I mean, it's like I'm sure I could probably find something I don't like about it, but nothing jumps out at me right away. I like it might just be where my head's at recently too, because I've been kind of exploring the power of really small containers that like follow simple orchestration rules.
Yeah,
I
right.
think it's like a good pattern.
Simple orchestration rules. Let me just check the notes I made for this call. I'm not. It's just a very strange place. Um, oh yeah, the other sort of quite subtle thing is that making a system that's designed to run LLMs, you need to also consider that you have to explain how the system works to the LLMs. And so having a system that's good and simple and easy to explain to an LLM, plus has common concepts like that too, is strangely
Mhm.
important. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but like I'm even seeing things like uh, let me try and show you something quite funny. I will share my screen. So AI upscaling, right? You take like a pretty good game and you run it through an AI upscaler, and then it looks like it's fucking 4K graphics, but you don't really have 4K graphics. Um,
Hmm.
so taking that the opposite way is like an ASCII game being AI rendered to be like pretty high grade graphics.
Yeah,
So that was all I was trying to show there. Like it kind of goes both ways. You can have ASCII games and then have these real fancy UIs. Um, I think I might be almost finished here, actually.
well, what's the next step for you?
um, Build a version of this agent system and use it for all the problems that we have accumulated over the years.
And what problems disappear because of the like move to a more simple system? Is there a lot of the apps that you were talking about probably feel like they're not actually as necessary anymore?
They don't even exist. They're just an agent that does some stuff. And ultimately, like, it's kind of tragic, but the whole interface to this, like, if we call this system an artificial intelligence, the interface can, if you wish, boil down to a contact on WhatsApp that you can message, call, have a video call with. It'll send you pictures, and then you're like, do the thing, book my haircut. What stocks should I buy? Like, you just do that, and then it uses the agent model to like do this work. And so
I mean,
um,
that sounds like a killer demo.
it's just
What you have to find the kind of work that can like not that doesn't feel close to what you can already do by hopping into ChatGPT.
um, yeah,
I feel like some of the applications in the space of like quickly revamping like a business that needs to be brought into the modern era. That's something that I probably wouldn't try to give an AI agent as they exist right now as a task and like expect it to succeed. Is that like a good show of power?
that is a good show of power, but we talk about that exact use case repeatedly, and I think
Right.
that the best way to tackle that is actually to um, stand up a almost like a totally new front end of the company where you're like, this is the AI version of that company. And it allows you to treat the core service of that company that can't be replaced with everything else has been replaced by an AI. So if it was, for example, a rubbish collection company, the collection of the bins, you can't replace that, but you can organize that via an AI agent, and then this new like AI version of that company is able to take phone calls, schedule bins, look at truck maintenance. It's sort of like a parallel version that you stand up just to see.
Right.
But the I guess the temptation facing us now is, why do we need to demonstrate power if
When you could just use it. Yeah.
yeah,
I get you.
right? Because I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, a good example is if suddenly like the smartest person who ever lived, or like 10 of them, turned up at your house and we're like, we're gonna do anything you want. Would you really like put them on a website and invite people to pay money to ask them questions? Like, that seems dumb.
I mean, it's like increasingly that's the only new startup that ever gets pitched.
That's dumb, right? And so it's like, well,
Yeah.
no, hang on. We got this thing that can like tell us what to do. Like, tell me what to do today. What should I eat? When should I sleep? How should I spend my money? Like, this guy down the road, he's doing the same thing. He's asking the AI, and the AI is like, you two guys, one of you does this, one of you does that, everyone wins, right? And we're like, okay, so we kind of become like, I think the winners are the people who can turn their lives into AI context the deepest and the fastest, and who have the faith to execute on what the AI tells them is the thing to do. That's what winning is. It's not making another SaaS app. It's
Yeah. I can agree with you that like apps seem like a bad idea now.
they're done, dude. And it's also like not a good use of time. It's like there's a limited window. At some point, everyone will be at the same level, which is AI powered. It's like when Google Maps came out, everyone's like, oh, that's not the quickest way. I know the quickest way. And then, you get beat down a couple of times and you're like, you know what? The Google Maps way was the best way. I just got to do what it says now. And you don't argue anymore. And it's probably going to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess here's another question for you then. Is like, do you consider that like a big ecosystem of stuff needs to be built around this anymore? Or do you think it's going to build itself basically?
It basically builds itself because it self improves based on usage and based on observing itself and finding faults before a human even said anything, and getting direct faults from humans where humans are like, hey, that sucked. And you're like, oh, sorry, tell me why. And then the machine goes off, maybe with some help from humans. Like, I think the Dreamcatcher model still works, but I think the number of people in it is decimated. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm asking you. I'm definitely asking you something, but it's kind of like, what do we do? Like, I feel like we've nearly got this system finally, and it came out way different than what we thought, but it's pretty close to general intelligence with our assistance, of course. And as the models get better, it just fucking just rides. And so what do I do?
When you fix shit, there's like an endless amount of shit in the real world that needs to be fixed, and we're all monkeying around with NFTs. Like, what the fuck? The planet is boiling. I had to, my HVAC broke in my house. My HVAC broke in my house, and like the smoke got so bad that I couldn't open the door. So I've been baking in here. I'm like having a terrible, terrible time. all I do when I look at the internet now is see posts on different platforms of different people lying in different ways about how it's either not real or it's fixable or it's already fixed, or like gaslighting me, trying to tell me that I'm not experiencing like being in a smoky oven that is my house right now. Like the world needs fixing. Like people don't trust each other.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
I'm like,
Yeah, but that seems
and
big though.
I'm not trying to be dramatic. It is. I think that's the thing that always compelled me about Dreamcatcher is imagine being added to a network of people who just want to fix things. They just want to do things and fix things. Right? That's why I asked you the question about like the do you need a big environment of stuff around this thing anymore? Do you need to try and attract developers? That would be the thing I was mentioning. The demo there is like, you know, it used to be the goal to try and attract people who would want to build stuff here. And like, if it can be turned into something powerful feeling enough, like, I think if people feel like they don't even have to like learn some esoteric bullshit to make a app to like make a solution to a problem that they experience, if they feel like they can just jump on and experience the power of it right away, like that's compelling, you know.
So what I think it is like there's a small number of people that I know that are, I would call them agents. They are agents because they think for themselves and they do stuff because they decided. And some of those people are kind of badass, and some of them need more tooling than others. But the point is that it feels like it comes down to a small number of people who have very different skills, backgrounds, and connections. You know, like you and I are programmers. There's some people I know that are business owners or advertisers or, you know, all kinds of different things. But if they get the platform and we all can coordinate with each other with the AI optimizing who does what when, and like introducing people, picking the right time, analyzing opportunities, sharing rewards in a way that means that we all still send each other Christmas cards after having done a business venture with each other. You know, that
what a world,
right? That kind of system, and you get the right people in it. I don't think you need more than maybe 1,000, and you could do some significant change.
Yeah, I you know, I think 1,000 is a very manageable number of people to try and attract to something.
Yeah, there's like a new what's that number? It's like the something number, which is like you can't have more than 200 friends because
it's like your tribal limit, right? Your brain is hard coded.
Yeah, but now that you have AI, there's still that same number out there, but it's just bigger. So there's a new tribe number that's the AI tribe number, and it's maybe, like, I would imagine it wouldn't be more than 10,000. Like, it's kind of, there's another new limit, but it's just bigger.
See, I like that. When you frame it like that, I think that, you know, we're running against the limitations of our own cognitive hardware at this point,
exactly,
right?
exactly. Our brains aren't made to deal with world scale problems, and yet we all experience them and know that they're happening, and we all wonder what we can do. But a system that can like boost us to be able to coordinate in faraway places, like, you know, New Zealand coordinating with Canada, coordinating with Kenya, and it's like that type of unlock is what I think we want to be trying to make. So like I feel so stupid coming to you because I'm like, I don't even have it's not clear what the fucking thing is anymore. Like, I know we got the thing, but what do you do?
Yeah, you look at something hard enough, it just disappears, right? Okay, so I mean, I think that there's some like definite problems that you need to have an answer for, which is how do you like make sure the incentives stay lined up in the good, right? How do you make sure
that seems pretty critical? That's the ambient attribution agent, which we believe we know how to make the first version of it, and we think we know how to make a benchmark that measures any future attempts to improve it, and we think that the minimum that we should achieve before we actually go, okay, now we are free to do anything we like on the planet with this tool. Before we decide that, is to build a public blockchain where the currency within it is controlled by the ambient attribution agent. So whenever there's a transaction, attributions occurring according to this AI model. And if we make that, then we're like, okay, I think we've done enough. Like, that's our job done. Now we are users or participants. We are agents in the platform now.
The other hard question, I think, that's going to continue to like dog me until I see it, is how do you build a social network without it turning into the slop that social networks always turn into? Like, there is a social component to this. You need to have some kind of social discovery. You need to have some sort of like direct communication capability. You need to have some sort of way of making people feel like there's a sense of place, that they're all in, right? If you really,
but I think
maybe sorry, go ahead. I'm just thinking maybe you disagree with me about that, but I think that
I don't disagree.
Okay, I think that it's like impossible to compel people to work together unless they feel like they have the ability to like learn and understand the people they're working with somehow.
Right.
And not through some sort of intermediated way, right?
Yeah, that's correct what you say, but the concern of that feels like it was a concern for a social network that was centered around an app or a web page. A social network that formed because you came for the intelligence and you left, and you came for the intelligence and you stayed because of the friends. Like, if, say, you and I started using this platform and we discovered things and we shared things with each other, and our AI agents figured out or brokered ways that you and I can benefit each other, or benefit causes that we care about, then we would become better friends. Like, we would have shared something.
Right. So it's an incentive thing again, right? The reason that old social media falls apart is because the only incentive you can drive is engagement. And that's toxic as fuck, right?
Yeah, it's real bad. And the incentive is to sell ads. But we're actually not interested in that. We're trying to sell. What are we trying to sell? Like, we're just trying to be better. We're just trying to.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways of being better, like the old school capitalist idea that, like, when you find something that's not operating at its peak efficiency or value, you can extract value from it by improving it.
Right.
One of the things I kind of worry about plugging into the current economic matrix is that, like, the ways that those things get measured now are very distorted, and the way that we like use our money systems produces so much money for nothing that it's impossible to see signal in the noise.
Right.
So like, if you're talking old capitalist value, like, come and improve things and reap the rewards from it, I don't know if that works. I do think that attribution is a system that works still inside of inside of all this.
Attribution is eternal. Animals understand attribution.
Yeah.
Like
what I mean, I guess, is you'll never solve this with a coin, right?
There is no coin. No, that's the thing. It's not a coin, but we believe that we have the ability to have an intrinsic currency. I don't think even calling it a currency is the right thing, because it's not like it's dynamic all the time. It's not a sum. It's not like an issued number of tokens. The AI thinks that the world owes you this much, and it thinks that you owe the world this much, and it tracks it all.
Right. And I guess the thing is, like, you're free to. The thing that's going to make it real is if that thing that you get owed and that you have in your account in this system becomes valuable in more places than just the system, right?
Yeah, like, it needs to be the real world. That's really what matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like, if you could, we'll make the thing, and then we'd love to have a play with you, but I'm sort of feeling weird. Like it doesn't, it's not the same as the thing we set out to make. It's very different.
But if it was the same as the thing you set out to make, like, well, one of the other 20 iterations would have worked, right? Like,
Yeah.
the it's going to be the thing that works, that,
Yeah.
like, not the thing that you wanted, right? Like,
No,
it's going to be the thing.
Yeah. So basically, it's a general intelligence platform,
Mhm.
and then it's like, well, so what? What do you do with it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, I think I'll keep thinking about it. What are the things that you can express in this system that you can't express in other ones?
Yeah,
What are
and
the
it
things that you
might,
can
like,
let
this
go of?
is gonna sound cliche, but it might be that the first task of the system is to figure out this problem, and
Yep.
that's how we use it first. We're like, well, it's smarter than we are, clearly, but
Mhm.
let's all get together and poke at it and see what we should do.
And you know what? Honestly, this is the first time I've heard you say that I think that feels fun and not dreadful. Figuring out, like, using this thing to kind of probe itself and build the scaffolding out of the, like, you know, all the way down to, like, the host chain being the thing that, like,
Mm,
protects the whole universe. It's like that fills me with dread,
mm.
thinking about all the different if statements I'm going to need to pack in there,
Yeah,
But, like, is there a version of this system where it actually just feels like you want to sit down and, like, shoot the shit and, like, use it to kind of, like, harden itself? That actually feels kind of fun.
that's the thing. That's the thing that it does. Like, it's able to comprehend its own design, and you can chuck ideas and what ifs and all sorts of things. It can also scrape Twitter and YouTube for new ideas, and it can see if some of them apply to where it knows it's lacking.
Right. I feel like you're asking something that you don't know you're asking, and I'm trying to answer, but I don't think I'm actually answering it.
I think you get the problem though, right? Like, the
Yeah.
problem is, like, we're looking at this thing, it's arriving. Now what?
I think you got to pick a big problem to solve. I think you got to pick a big problem to solve, and you got to get people, like, who want it to be solved, like, thinking about it and
There's
using this
probably
thing
a
to think
lot.
about it.
Sorry, thinking about it, using this thing as a what?
Using this thing to think about it, like,
Oh yeah, yeah. But there's probably, if we found 1,000 people, we'd probably end up with like 20,000 good things.
mhm.
So maybe yeah.
Well, that's a hard problem in itself. How do you get the first 1,000 people? I assume you probably have, like, hundreds maybe that you can get on right away.
We could probably, I mean, if it worked the way that we want it and it passed our test, we could probably have 100 in a week. But
Cool.
could those 100 get another 100? Probably. But ultimately, I guess, yeah, the temptation and the question is, I'm like, maybe we should just, like, keep it as a closed little thing where it's like people we know. I mean,
People that have
open it.
people that you don't think are gonna, like, try and take it and turn it into whatever it is everyone else is doing all the time now,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you know what? I feel like we live more and more in the, like, giant matrix of scams, and I just don't want.
You don't.
I don't want to live there.
Yeah.
I want to live with people who don't want to be in that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's certainly a starting point. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I'll carry on making it, and then probably, I mean, I'm expecting the first version up maybe fucking tonight or tomorrow, sort of thing. And then
Okay.
we'll just see what it's like to use. Maybe it's not as great as we think. Maybe it is. I don't know. But at some point, if we keep down this path, we'll get to the general intelligence platform. Some point, and then we're like, well, yeah, now what? So yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm going around in circles here because the truth is, I don't know what to do. But
It's okay. I'm like, you know what? Like, I remember from the very first job I ever had programming, when I hit moments like that, I don't know what to do. Like, the solution always only comes when I'm like not sitting at the keyboard,
yeah,
when I'm walking around, like when I'm just doing something else.
Yeah.
It's percolating in the back of your head now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep. Good point. Good point. Maybe I need to actually go out into the world and leave my desk. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, cool. I'll call it there if that's okay.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Let me figure out how to stop this thing. I have to go. Blah blah blah. Stop.